Hello, Naya.
Hello. Hey, everyone. Hey, Jess. Thanks so much for having me.
It's the opposite thing, isn't it? Like, I feel like you're in charge here.
Yes, I am running the show today. So, yeah.
S- So, Ramon and I have been running these boot camps where we teach web development and JavaScript skills for a while.
Yeah.
And I was so excited that I'm doing a little bit of contract work with Couchbase right now because Naya is my favorite person.
Mhm.
Um, and one of the concerns that our learners brought to us again and again was, hey, how do I move outside of the tutorial environments? Or what does this look like in the real world?
Mhm.
So what are we going to do together to hopefully fill that in?
So today, everyone, we are so excited. We're going to be going through and teaching you all about what is a text editor, and then working through building out a really quick project, probably as small as a hello world, building that in HTML, and then showing you all what your code can look like on a particular text editor, and that is Visual Studio Code.
And so if it's not too rude, if it's not too
Mhm.
unkind, Naya,
Mhm.
I know that you're the smartest, coolest person in the world. Would it be rude to ask you to introduce yourself?
No, it would not be rude. I would love to introduce myself. So, hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. My name is Naya Macklin. I am a developer evangelist for Couchbase. Super cool and fun. And I have years of experience building out, building community within the engineering space. So, I run a little bit of a boot camp, and Jess does as well. But mine is predominantly for non-binary engineers and women engineers who are learning to code for the first time. So that's what I love to do on my Saturdays. And then during the week, I work with my friends here at Couchbase as the developer evangelist for our developer relations team. And so, yes, I'm super excited to be working along with Jess and Ramon, part of the Bad Website Club, and trying to introduce you all to a little bit of the projects that we'll be doing, and sharing some space with Couchbase.
What's a Couchbase?
Oh my goodness, what is a Couchbase? Okay, so, so
Oh,
Couch,
because we're gonna have to get abstract. Because remember, the learners were hello, lovelies. The
what?
learners we're working with right now. This is an intro to web development, and it hasn't even started yet. It starts tomorrow.
Oh wow, gotcha. That's right. I love it. Okay, so yeah, just a small introduction to Couchbase for folk who don't know about it. If you've ever heard of this thing, it's called a database. So we are a database company, and we create databases for users to be able to store their data in. So, for example, if you were to look at any website, so we'll take Twitter, for example, a social media website. So every time people create a tweet, that tweet on the what we call the back end, that tweet gets sent to a database and stored so that we can have access to that database, and so that you can see, so that you can actually see that tweet come up on your timeline. It has to go somewhere. So Couchbase provides the database. We're one database, one example of a database that folk can send the information to.
And you said a really, really important word where you said back end. And this is why I was so excited to work with you on this. Is for the boot camp, we're going to be building 5 different projects.
Mhm,
And for 2 of them, they actually do need a back end.
mhm.
And in the past, when we've run the boot camp, they were like, hey, when I push submit, nothing happens. Building a form.
Yep.
And that's because it didn't have a database. It was just sort of the front. So when we talk about the front end of a website, we're talking about the stuff you can see on the page.
Mhm.
And the back end's going to be the stuff that does the stuff.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. So when one thing we were going to do in our streams together is start taking a look at the 5 projects that
Yep.
we're going to be doing as part of this boot camp, but we're going to be doing them with real world tools and
Mhm.
not in sort of the code environment that Free Code Camp provides. Let me go ahead and just get, oh, am I allowed to share? I bet I'm allowed to share my
Sure.
screen. I'm so bossy. I never get to be the guest, so this is a
I love it.
joy.
Yes.
Um, so what we're going to take a look at really fast is what the tutorial environment looks like, what we're going to be doing next week.
Mhm.
Naya, I'm so sorry. I think you are the boss of
I
this.
got you.
So this is Hello World.
Mhm.
And what we're doing here is this is all a tutorial environment. This is all within a learner's browser. And one of the questions I got asked a lot is, where do I put my code when I'm done learning on Free Code Camp?
Mhm.
And I think we're going to go get one of the tools for that today.
Yes, we are.
And for folks brand new, don't worry about what any of this says. Oh,
Mhm.
Naya, is it a bother to ask you to explain what hello world means like in programming more generally? Because it's weird, right?
Yeah, so it's a weird little thing that once you start to begin to code, it's one of the first quote unquote programs that you will build out when you are a developer. So everyone here, you are developers. I want you to get into your mind and to normalize and to think of yourself as an engineer. I am a software engineer. I want you to say that to yourself every day, right? It's really important to try and to believe it as much as possible because you are. And we're going to be building out some programs, and this is an example of that. So Hello World is one of our like demo introductory programs that you write when you begin to write your first line of code. So you'll see here that Hello World is actually showing the text. Hello World is showing in a preview here, and really that's just exactly what it is. So you execute the code that's down in step 3. And then that will actually show up in the preview section, and you have written your first mini program. Now, some folk might say that HTML is not a programming language. It's just it stands for hypertext markup language. It's just a markup language. So that's true, but just to simplify things a little bit for folk.
I'm going to say this again tomorrow on the mainstream when we start, but is HTML a real programming language? CSS a real programming language? My sort of main thing is anybody who wants to come to you and say, "Oh, you're not a real programmer," or "This doesn't count." They're probably not fun. You probably
Thank
don't
you.
need like, right? They're going to get into arguments about everything. You
Right.
can just ignore them. I promise.
Yes.
I mean, unless they're your boss, in which case you have to be like, "Oh yeah, thank you for your feedback."
Right. But really, yeah, just ignore them. You are engineers, you are developers. You are programming, right? You're learning to
Right.
program, and this is all correct. So you're all good.
And the whole point of the Bad Website Club is we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to have a soft, silly little time.
Mhm.
So, starting from tomorrow, we're going to be having a soft, silly little time in this tutorial environment. But today, we're going to take this away and we're going to go get a text editor, which is
Mhm.
where one of the places we can write our code in. There's other types of in browser coding environments,
Yep.
and there are other kinds of editors that are kind of hard mode. So programmers have about 15 different arguments we like to have, and we have them nonstop.
Yep.
And one of them is about the different kinds of editors we like to use.
Oh,
But I think what we're going to do for now is, oh gosh. So let's talk about a text editor, and then let's go get the most
yeah.
popular one, if that's okay.
I love that.
So I'm going to say something that I think is a little
Mhm.
controversial, but I'm willing to argue.
I'm here for it.
But like softly, nicely argue.
Yeah.
I think where I can write my code right here in
Mhm.
the tutorial, I think this is a text editor.
Yes, it
Uh,
is.
I think technically we would call it an in-browser coding environment. And
Mhm.
sometimes you'll hear a text editor called an IDE.
Yep.
Oh, integrated development environment.
Yes, you got it, Jess.
Are you lying? Because hmm.
I'm guessing. I actually don't remember, but you can always look things up as a dev. You can always
Look,
look.
look, look. So,
Mhm.
uh, oh, I'm not allowed to click on. I'm so used to being the boss and I'm the guest.
Yeah.
Shareth has made a really good point when I said, "Oh, the most popular coding environment."
Mhm.
If you click on Shareth, it should pop up on the screen where everybody can see it
Ooh, let me
in
see.
the comments.
Let
Uh,
me.
way ahead. Sorry, I'm bossing you around.
No, you are not. Let me see. Oh, okay. So here we go.
Yeah,
Line. Perfect. Let me get in
I
there.
said, "Hey, we're gonna go get the most popular coding environment." Uh, And we had Sheriff be like, VS Code. And Nikki came in to say, oh, Sublime Text and VS Code are very good.
Mhm.
So I use both of them. And do you know what? This is going to sound, so this is a very old lady thing. Sometimes when I want to think and not ever be bothered by the computer trying to help, I'll use Notepad++ like it's 1996.
Wow, I love that. And to code in Notepad?
Just structure, just thinking.
Okay, I respect it. Some people use Google Docs, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of different spaces that you can use too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get that. I'm going to be lazy this time because I'm bossy all the
Mhm,
time.
mhm.
Oh, and I will get rid of this. So let's say hypothetically, I'm a brand new learner. I want to get VS Code because I've been told that VS Code is very popular.
Mhm.
One thing I'd stress is learners, you don't have to use VS Code. If you've got something else you like,
That's true.
amazing. We're just starting this so that when we're doing the real world projects, we're all on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like Jess said, there's so many different options out there. And some people, what my mentor used to say is that people love to have nerd fights over which one is the best text editor. Don't mind them, right? You code in whatever space you want to, whichever space you feel most comfortable in. That's the best text editor right there.
If you absolutely must have an argument, I'm not here to stop you, but I'm just saying that it's sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's a weekend, sometimes you just want to go outside and play. Like y'all can argue on the internet all day. We're not going to stop you.
That's right.
But
We'll never stop you.
ah, so here we've got sort of a brand new install. We're gonna pretend that we've never touched VS Code ever, which is
Yes.
not actually that much of a lie for me. You have to make me program.
Yeah. No worries.
So we've got a web browser here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, which we got? Oh, so we've got Chrome this time,
Yep.
which is super chill. But if you use Safari, that's super chill. If you use, oh gosh, what's the new one?
I use Brave myself.
Brave. If you use
Yeah.
Brave, that's chill.
Yeah.
If you use Firefox, I hear that all the cool kids use Firefox.
Right.
Conspicuous Mozilla thermos time.
Gotta love them.
I should add that my day job is working for the Mozilla Foundation, so not with the Firefox stuff. Oh, Mitch, you're absolutely right. Arc is the new one.
It's so good. So good.
Stop.
Yeah.
I'm not test driving another browser. I'm elderly. So so we've got our browser of choice, and it can be whatever you want. And we've got our search engine of choice.
Exactly.
And we're using DuckDuckGo because I'm a privacy weirdo, and maybe you are too.
I definitely am.
Oh, like I'm very like nobody's business is nobody's business. So how are we gonna go get VS Code?
Okay, so we're going to put on our hat, our research hat today, and we're going to think about what are some keywords that we can think of when we're trying to figure out how do I get VS Code, right? So really, a lot of times what you can do is just figure out what is the question, how do I get VS Code? And you can type that directly into the browser itself, all right, into the search engine. So let's go and do that. Okay, how to get VS Code.
I love the suggestions where it's like how to get free Robux. I'd be like, I don't even know what a Robux is. I'd put like I think it's a video game thing.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah.
So is there any way you can push the command and plus to sort of in big in this briefly?
Absolutely.
Because we've got some options here.
Yeah.
So we've got some videos. Oh, look at that. Here's some other tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, somebody's got 1 million views. Oh, that's too many
Always great.
views.
Yeah.
But I'm looking not just at the text that it shows us in the results, but also at the URL. So here where it says https://code.visualstudio.com.
Yep.
So that kind of looks like, because sometimes you'll get stuff that looks spammy or stuff that looks dodgy. We
Right.
want to download Visual Studio. The title says download Visual Studio Code.
Mm-hmm.
And the URL, and oh gosh, what's a URL?
Oh, okay.
It's a
now.
uniform heck.
That's okay.
I've completely forgot what URL stands for. I was a uniform resource locator. Yes.
You got it.
And that's sort of the web address.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Let us drop in the Wikipedia just for funsies.
Thanks, friends.
So do we want to that I feel reasonably confident. It does say download, which is one of those keywords I'm a little bit hesitant about. But
Mhm.
if we click on that, we could see how we feel about it.
Let's see. All right. So this first one, we're going to click on the download. Boop.
Oh, so
Ta-da!
I'm seeing the Visual Studio logo. I'm seeing the Visual Studio in the URL. That still seems
Exactly.
okay.
Yep. It's all legit.
Yeah, so we've already talked about you can have different kinds of text editors, you could have different kinds of browsers.
Mhm.
The operating system is the sort of underlying program on your machine.
Yes.
So if you look at your keyboard and you've got a little Windows logo,
Mhm.
you're probably using Windows.
Mhm.
If your computer was real heckin' expensive and it's got an Apple on the back, you probably want the if you're a Linux user, you already know you're a Linux user and you don't need this video, you're fine.
You did that on purpose. Don't worry.
Like, so if you've never heard of Linux before, don't worry. As you get into programming, you're going to meet a bunch of people who are really excited to talk to you about Linux.
Yeah.
But for here, oh gosh, Naya, so this is your computer. I'm hands off.
Mhm.
What have you got?
Yeah. So I have a Mac. I have work was so lovely to get me a Mac for my job. So we're working
Oh,
on Mac
this
today.
is another reason to become a programmer because
Yes.
sometimes your job will just send you a computer to use.
It's great. And it's free. It's a free computer.
You've got to give it back.
Yes, at the end.
At the end. Sorry. I thought you were just like, it's free. I'm gonna get 3 of
Oh,
these. I
not
was like,
no, not forever.
So
Mhm.
let's
Yeah. So
I
let's
think
download.
do we just click on the big Mac with the arrow?
We can. Let's see. Boop. Thank you for downloading. And then if you all saw down here, if you are also on a Mac, down here it started to do the download for VS Code. So we just have to wait a couple seconds until this finishes, and then we're gonna what they call double click into it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a very old lady thing here because
Yeah.
this is about halfway done.
Okay.
And back in my day, back when getting the internet access at home was
Yep.
relatively new, this would have been 3, 4, 6 hours, and
Oh,
your
yeah,
mom would have come and
man.
picked up the phone at some point, which disconnects you from the internet.
Ruined the whole thing. Yeah.
Naya, you are about 6 months old. I know that you've just heard other old people talking about this,
I
but
love it.
but yeah, I
Still,
know.
but still, yeah. I do remember that you couldn't use the internet and the cell phone at the same time. Wild.
So
Love
it
it.
looks like just me being
Workout?
elderly was long enough to have that work. And if you all are young enough where you don't remember internet coming in along your phone line, what a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive. Oh, I
Exactly.
mean, y'all now, because like back then it wasn't great. So okay, it's downloaded. How do we do the
How do we get
thing?
into it? Yeah. So what I would do, because I'm using a trackpad on a Mac, so I'm going to double click this. So we do 1, 2, and it's going to open it right up. So it's expanding. Okay. And so it opened it right up. I'm going to move this over.
So we're just gonna oh gosh. So this is our downloads file.
That's right. It moved it over to our downloads folder. And it might move it into different areas for y'all, but I think initially it'll start it off in the downloads folder. And what we want to do is we want to open it up. So we'll do that hefty old double click again, double click.
Oh, and
And
we've
now
got our
we have
VS.
cool.
Oh, so we've got that little warning. It says, hey,
Mhm,
hey,
and
hey,
that's
you
right.
got this off the internet. Like, where else would you get it?
Exactly. That's always what I say. And it's just asking you if you want to trust it. Yes, we do, because it is from a trusted group, Visual Studio Code. We know it. It's not some random thing off the internet. So let's press open here.
You all are so patient just to have us like let you be like, we got to be careful. Oh, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, this is it, everyone. So let's expand. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging the corners and expanding it. You can also expand it via this green button if you're on a Mac. Again, enter a full screen, for example, but I'm just going to expand it here so we can see the whole thing.
Can I have a little plus here to make it
Absolutely.
bigger?
To see these words. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is scary. Oh, wait, this
Mhm.
is not so scary.
There's a lot here, but let's break
So
it down.
here it looks like the first thing it wants us get to give us options are color themes.
Hmm.
Oh,
So you can
this is
customize.
probably not the most important thing to do,
No.
but um, so if we wanted, there's a whole bunch of other color themes, but we might want to pick one of these just to not
Yeah.
waste each other's time.
Mhm.
Because I will be like, oh no, what about this kind of pink?
I gotcha.
What do you
So,
think, dark or light?
ooh, I know so many people feel some type of way about
This
this.
is one of those 15 nerd arguments is like
Yeah.
dark mode, light mode.
Y'all in the comments, which one should I choose? Which ones are y'all choosing? Are
I
we
mean,
doing
in my heart, I've already chosen something, but um, yeah, what do we think? Dark
yeah,
mode, light mode. I've
dark-
actually got one I got from Ramon, which is like Ramon, I think you're hiding somewhere. What was that theme called? It was something like pastel vampire. It's like
Oh, that one. That one's
yeah,
beautiful.
it's so pretty.
Yeah,
Okay, we've got folks saying that we have to have dark mode.
we're doing
Uh,
it.
but I'm again elderly. So can I have high contrast at least? Oh, Ramon is saying he uses Dracula. That's what it was. Dracula that is so cute and
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Do we want to search and see if we can find it and see more themes? Oh, you know what? Every bit. So we've got 5 votes for dark mode, 1 vote for light, and 1 vote for Dracula. So us picking Dracula would be unkind.
That would.
Okay, so we could do this.
This is a
Yeah.
dark contrast one.
So what's the other thing we need to do next? Sync to and from other. Oh, so we might be able to skip this next one. What does this mean when we look at the next option on our left? So we
Oh,
picked our theme,
yep.
and
All set.
here it's saying sync to and from other devices.
Very cool.
Do you know what? I think this is for people who are so fancy they have multiple computers they program on.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me.
Yeah.
So I think we can skip that one for now. That's not a
Yeah.
super important setting just now.
Agreed.
What's the
perfect.
next one?
Let's see. One shortcut to access everything. Oh.
So this is
Really
really
fancy.
powerful.
Yeah.
But do we maybe want to skip it for now?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll skip it for now.
And then rich support for all languages.
So this is really cool.
Mhm.
So this is saying that you can add extensions that'll underline errors, that'll automatically format it. And this is going to be depending on what kind of programming you do.
Right.
I see HTML and CSS in here. Do we want to go
Okay.
get an extension for HTML and CSS?
Ooh, I'd love that.
I'll let you all know that this might be really distracting when you first start, but
Definitely.
that's cool. We love it. We love things being a little distracting.
It'll be fine. Let's jump in. Okay, so I clicked browse extensions. So they have a couple recommended languages up here. And then we see one that has 15 million downloads. This little marker up here lets you know how many people trust it or how many people have downloaded it before. 15 million people said, yes, this is an excellent extension.
Like, oh, do you know what? Sergey points out that light mode might be more readable for us presenting.
Oh.
Sergey, that's what you get making an extremely good point. Let's go ahead and add this first, and we can go ahead and see. We'll try one and then the other.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just to see how those feel. Yeah.
Love it.
So let's go ahead and install that by clicking install.
Perfect.
Oh, that's it. It's done.
And it's done really quick.
Okay. Is there a way to close this and come back?
Of course. So here, and then you want to close the whole thing?
So this welcome thing seems to be guiding us through all the steps we need.
Yes.
Oh, the last one is open up our code.
Boom.
Okay, so this is where we have to stop for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the big things that we have a difficult time with, we as programmers, moving out of a tutorial environment and into real world coding environments, is that the tutorial environment gives us all of the tabs we need.
Yep.
And it gets hard to imagine that these are individual files and that they're files living in a folder.
Right.
So so it wants us to pick a folder. Would it be okay to make a new folder on your desktop and we'll
I
pick
think we
that
should.
one?
I think we absolutely should.
You're very patient.
Not at all. Okay. So
Naya, oh, please.
yeah, no, you know, you.
I was just gonna say nice things about you while you wait.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Naya and I worked together on projects before. So Naya is very familiar with me being mean and a bully. So me saying, "Oh, could you please?" is like chop chop. Please.
Make it happen. Make it happen, please.
So this is the desktop.
Let's do. Okay, let's create something. And it's so interesting. You all will learn about this a little bit later, but I usually create all my folders via the terminal.
We'll get to the terminal. The terminal is, oh, what's the terminal?
It's so the terminal, how I've described it to folk who've never used the terminal before is it is like the what I would call the back end of your computer. So if we were to describe this as the front end, so meaning like everything is very pretty, right? We have designs, we have curves, we have colors and buttons and things that look really nice. So this is like the front end of our computer. It has all the designs and everything that you can see, you can visually see. And then the back end, how I would call the terminal being the back end, it's all just text and
Okay.
it is definitely not as pretty. Some you can make pretty. You can design, do different designs and do different colors and things for the terminal. But it really is just like the basic bones of your computer. It just tells you, it helps you understand the file and folder structures on your computer. You can quickly navigate and jump to different areas within your computer without having to, for example, oh, I'm going to go down to the notes icon or a specific folder I'm going to navigate in Finder. So the terminal allows you to just use a couple commands, and a command, I'll describe that as well. A command is it's a way to tell the computer to do something. So there's different ways to tell your computer to do something in the terminal. And we'll get into that a little bit later. I know through the stream.
I promise we're not going to let the terminal hurt you yet. Like
we won't. Yeah.
I always describe the terminal as, you know, in movies and shows where they're showing hackers and it's just sort of a wall of text. That's what it feels. And it feels like it would be really easy to break your computer.
Yep.
And it might be, but it's for now, we're not going to do anything that breaks it. And we're not going to do anything with the terminal at all.
Yeah.
So.
And that's okay. All right. So I am. I just said to open up a new folder, but I think it might have opened up on my other screen. I have multiple screens going, y'all.
Which is another programming nerd thing, which I totally I refuse. I have one terrifyingly large screen. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so it made them within this thing. So I'll just get rid of the second one here. Move to trash.
No.
And it's gone. Okay. And so what do we oh, sorry, I clicked into it. That might have been scary for folk. What do we want to name this folder? Let's rename it. And quickly, what I did here is I 2-finger clicked and then pressed rename. So for folk who don't know that process.
I think maybe calling it Hello World, because what we're going to do is we're just going to make a little Hello World.
That's right.
And we're going to make it out of different files.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our files is going to be completely blank, I think. So we definitely need an HTML file. Mm-hmm. We need a CSS file, but we're not going to learn how to make them hold hands for a couple sessions yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
So here, what is in the folder?
So I'm going to double click into it.
Oh, there's nothing.
Nothing yet. That's the key.
Oh, nothing yet.
Yeah.
So if we come back to VS Code and it asks us to pick a folder.
Perfect. So I just exited that out. It's going to save. Don't think it's going to disappear. And then we're going to click this again that says pick a folder. And we should be able to. I'll go back to the desktop. And here we are, Hello World folder. We're going to press open for that.
And we get...
Ooh, some things happening.
So we did get a permission where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
Is VS Code allowed to do that?
Yes. We're going to click OK.
and that's your computer.
Right.
And now VS Code is asking,
Mhm.
do you
That's
want
right.
that folder? So I like this.
It's very secure, which is excellent. So we're just going to click yes, we trust the authors because we are the authors. We understand it. And you can also trust the authors if you know who created whatever code that you're going to be bringing down or whatever folder. So I often press yes. There we go. And now we are in. We are
But there's
in.
nothing here.
There's nothing here yet. That's right.
Okay. So I thought what might be nice to do
Mhm.
is to practice creating a
Mhm.
couple of files,
Yep.
saving a couple of files,
Perfect.
writing oh, do you know what? We don't even have to write it. We can steal it off of the free Code Camp tutorial.
Yes, I love that.
Um, and then it might be really cool to open it up and see what it looks like to open our file locally.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about like what local means more in a
Mhm.
little minute. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not going to hurt us.
Yeah.
But can we try switching between dark mode and light mode just to see how it
Yes, we
feels?
absolutely can. So do we want to do light high contrast or light modern?
We did high contrast last time. Do we want to try modern this time?
Let's do it. All
Oh,
right.
so much.
Yeah. Solid.
So
Very bright on you. So I'm sorry for everyone.
let's create a new file. And I think there's a couple different ways to do this.
There are. Okay. So if we want to create a new file, just like Jess said, there's a number of different ways we can do this. So if one way is going to hover over the folder that you
Oh,
created here. Yep. And it brings up these little icons when you hover over it. So if you get out of that, the icons just disappear. They're still there. You come back, the icons are there. And so these, yeah, go ahead.
I think I could tell. I've never actually used these icons before.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've got a couple guesses. Oh, and they're labeled if you hover over them.
It
So it looks
helps.
like new file, new
Yep.
folder, refresh, and
Yep.
copy.
Exactly. Collapse.
Collapse, not
Yeah.
copy. Okay, that's not fair because that looks like copy.
It does look like the copy icon. Yeah.
So what I would have done if I was brand new is probably
Mhm.
come up to the top bar where it says file,
That's right.
and from file, new file.
New file.
But what I do on my own is I right click in that column, in the Explorer column, and add it that
Oh,
way.
very cool. So there's so many different ways. Okay, so right click, which is double click on
Hey.
the trackpad, and then you can press new file here. So many different ways to create a new file. Perfect. Okay. And then you can see here if we wanted to press this, boop. It's just a different look to it.
Yeah.
Perfect. But let's do your way where we're pressing up here up to file, we press new file, and then here VS Code is asking us what kind of file do you want? Is it a text? Go ahead.
Yeah. And I think that we're gonna have to give a little bit of a spoiler for this week in the boot camp because
Mhm,
when you start a new HTML file,
mhm.
there's something that you always name the main homepage of your website.
Right.
I see some of these names and it's folks a couple of y'all have I see two of you that I know are professional developers. I know some of you have done this before. What should we name the HTML file that's the main file for our website?
That's right.
And while we're waiting for a delay to catch up with people,
Yeah.
why do we always have to name the main landing page? If we come to fish.com, why do we always have to name that landing page, that page you first land on when you put in the domain name? What Matthew, after my own
You're the
heart.
best.
Why do
That's
we have to name that something special?
right. Mhm.
Oh, actually, that's an advanced question. We will definitely talk about that towards the end of the boot camp. I'm like, oh no, that's about the difference between domain names and URLs. Sergey as well. We've got folks saying index,
Excellent.
index, index.
That's right.
And Matthew, I especially want to, whatever call out is for
Yep.
peaceful folks. What we're doing here is it's index.html because that file extension. So the name of your file comes
Mhm.
before the dot, and the extension, what type of file it is, comes after the dot.
That's right.
And it being an HTML file is important. Back in my day, it was HTM as well.
Oh, look at
I love how you were like, "Ah, I saw that in a book once."
that. You're hilarious.
I'm just old and mean. But if we could just type the file that we want, the name we want our new file to be.
Yes, we can. And Matthew's absolutely correct, and Sergey as well. It's going to be named index dot, and then we're going to do dot HTML. And then we should be able to press enter here, and then it'll create it for us. Perfect. And it's saying, are we going to?
Oh,
That's
so this is also creating the file on your computer at the same time.
At the same time, everyone.
Everything's
Exactly.
fine. Everything is easy.
So perfect. We're going to create the blue button that says create file. And we're in.
So it showed up here. Is it also in your folder as well?
It should be. Let's go check. We'll go back to desktop. Hello world. We're going to double click into here. Boom. It's there.
What happens if we click on it? Nothing. Oh,
Nothing yet. Yeah.
And I do want to apologize. I've got a bunch of very ugly cats. So if y'all just see any cursed goblins coming across the screen, they're just jealous.
They're really great. Beautiful. Oh, look at our baby.
Politely disagree. So
Lovely.
we could either fill in our HTML or we can make our CSS file.
Yes. Let's always try to well, not always, but let's create the structure first. So let's start off with creating the CSS file as well.
And this is going to feel a little bit abstract. But later on, our HTML and CSS files are going to work together to deliver our website.
Nice.
Right now, they're completely separate things until we learn how HTML and CSS works.
Yeah.
Sir. Unfortunately, our live streams are at cat dinner o'clock, so this may be a common recurrence.
And just a little bit of background for folk, similar to the index.html file, for CSS, you would normally call it style. Or hit me, Jess.
Styles.
Oh yeah, exactly. So one of the other works.
There should really be more arguments about this than there are, but oh, so somebody is saying they've got an issue with the chat being locked. Let me have a look at that. Everything's fine.
Thank you for letting us know, Deborah.
Sorry, me saying everything's fine when you say stuff isn't working right. That's nice and stressful.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, with our index HTML,
sweet.
Let's cheat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen as well, which is like a cheat battle. I'm going to come back to that first free code camp lesson.
Yep.
Get started is free. Oh, heck, I've said I'm sharing my screen and I did nothing of the sort. Let's get... where are you? Here you are. Everything's fine. So I'm going to come into what we're going to be working on tomorrow. The cat photo app. Oh, dang, look at all this stuff we're going to make tomorrow.
Please.
I'm going to start coding. So here, I've been told that great artists steal, and I think the web is nothing if not a weird place to do art. So I was thinking, I'm only seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of code and then some instructions. Would it be okay to just steal these 5 lines of code and we'll preview them as we go?
Yes.
So I'm going to send this to you in the chat, the secret behind the scenes chat. The only thing we do in there is trade links and say nice things about the learners. So I'm going to take this away so that you could share your screen and do all the hard work.
Oh, no, not at all.
And we can either type it out or copy and paste, but I think maybe that VS Code does some cool things if we type it out.
Boom. Let's boop. All right, and we're back.
Boop is a very important, highly technical term. So,
Love it.
oh, look at this. We could do,
I'm just,
both at the
yeah,
same time.
just making sure we can see both. I'm just scrunching this, click and drag to scrunch it.
Scrunch is a highly technical term as well. Like I do a lot of scrunching,
Oh yeah,
face
that's
scrunching, heart scrunching, and here screen scrunching.
screen scrunching.
So
Beautiful.
here
Mm-hmm.
on our line 1, should we type a little Pac-Man and HTML and a closing Pac-Man?
We should. So we're going to do a little Pac-Man or carrot, as they say.
Oh,
Opening
carrot. Which
So-
is far better than the chompy babies, I tell the learners. Oh, do you know what? It's trying to get us to do a doc type, and that is absolutely technically correct.
Right.
The thing is, it's technically correct in a way we're going to learn about tomorrow.
Yes.
So we can include it just out of best practice, or we can ignore it for now. We're going to include it.
Yeah, we can include it. It might be a little, it might be a lot. So let's see what it looks like.
Do you know what? Just to cheat, this is something we just put at the top of an HTML file. Why?
Exactly.
Because we do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Perfect.
Back in my day, you had to choose which version of HTML. I love you laughing. You'd be like, Jess, that's not true.
No, it is. Don't worry, you're good.
So we're actually going to have 6 lines where this one has 5, because I think we also need HTML on a separate line.
So let's open up a new carrot and write HTML. Ooh. So it's given us a different option to click on. So let's try it.
Oh.
All right. Just finish the text for us. Love it. Oh, and then as soon as I closed it, it gave us what's called, and y'all are going to get into this, a closing. The terms are missing. The terms are throwing me. A closing, exactly, yeah, closing bracket, but closing element here.
Yeah.
So we're just, I just want to go in between those.
Oh,
and as we can see, this is the same thing.
And we're going to preview this tomorrow, but the HTMLs here are our parent element of everything else on the page.
Right.
Weirdly, in a very sort of Greek mythology thing, all of the children are swallowed by the parents in turn. I'm going to find a less horror movie way to describe that before tomorrow.
That's fine.
Oh, do you know what? All of the children live in the houses of their parents.
There we go.
That's much less Chronodos Devours is young.
Boom.
So what else? Oh, now we're going to add a body.
That's right. So we're going to make sure we do some indentation because we want the HTML to know that this is a child element. It is the child to the parent. So the HTML is the parent, and then it's going to have a child called body.
And they've done this in the tutorial environment as well. And this isn't just good for computers to know the thing. This is also good for us because as people, if I come and everything's lined up, they'll be like, oh, there's a problem in this child element. Who is the parent? Whereas the indentation makes it easy at a glance to hopefully find out what's gone weird and what's okay.
Sweet. Okay. All right, so we did our indentation, and that's just pressing the tab. Some people, you can do spaces as well.
That's, again, one of the 15 programmer arguments.
Yeah.
It genuinely doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it matters, but not in a way that is worth that much arguing.
And y'all see again, once I pressed the closing carrot or the closing Pac-Man, it automatically gave me the finishing. We always have an opening and then a closing version, and the closing version has the slash. So here, opening version and then the closing version with the slash. And so we want to make sure that we go between those to write whatever we're going to write.
And just a preview, just so y'all get a little bit of a jump on tomorrow, here, both of those HTML opening tags and closing tags make up the HTML element.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. And then the body opening and closing tag makes up the body element. Just like learning a new language that has irregular verbs, Sometimes there are elements that are self-closing, so there's only one of them,
True.
but that is a tomorrow problem.
Exactly.
So we've got that. Oh, it looks like now we're going to do Hello World. We're going to do it H1,
Yes.
which is the most important heading on your page.
Mhm.
So a lot of people use it for styling, but this is, and
Mm,
we'll talk about semantic HTML a lot.
right.
And H1 is really important because it carries semantic, so inherent meaning that
Exactly.
I am the most important, I am the parent heading
Mhm.
on this page.
That's right.
If I
And it's
catch y'all, oh, sorry.
no, you're
I,
good.
w- I was just about to be mean to the learners, be like, if I catch y'all using a bunch of different H1s on your page for styling, I'm not going to get you, but I'll be very sad. When we
Yeah,
break into CSS, we'll learn about how to style stuff without over relying on H1s.
right. That's perfect.
So if we open our opening caret,
Yeah.
which is far better than Spiky Baby, and pick H1. Oh, and it looks like it just wants us to put Hello World right in there.
I love that. So we can either do that all on the same line like we see here for Hello World for the free code camp. So I'll just copy the free code camp way that they've done it instead of separating it just in case folks get confused. But I'm just going to type Hello World.
So
Right.
right now, don't push anything else. If you go and open up that file in your folder again, where it
Mhm.
was blank last time, what do we think it's going to look like?
Ooh, and I'm not pressing anything else.
Mm-mm.
All right.
And the only reason I'm suggesting this is I've done this so many times. Okay, what happens?
Let's click. Nothing's
Nothing.
there. Nothing's there.
And I bet our learners can absolutely guess why this file that we
Mm-hmm.
just created
Mm-hmm.
is still blank, even though we've
Exactly.
written stuff here.
Right. What's going on, everyone? Why is it still blank? Can anyone guess? Or does anyone know?
Because if we change something in the tutorial environment, it shows us right away.
That's true.
But over here, we have an extra, very
Step.
cursed step.
Yes.
Perpetually
Yes.
cursed step.
It gets so many people, even senior devs who've been doing this for 10 years.
We're like, oh, why isn't it? Why isn't it? Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to save it. Otherwise, nothing's happened.
Exactly. Perfect. So you see here the like notation in Visual Studio Code that lets you know, hold up, this has not been saved. Is this dot up here? All right.
The panic dot.
The panic dot. It's there to remind you that whatever you've written does not exist yet in your Finder window or in the actual thing. You have to save this first. All right.
And tomorrow, you and I are going to go set up a GitHub account. We won't go too deep into GitHub because we've got Rizal from GitHub, who's so smart and so cool, joining
Oh,
us next Tuesday. Tuesday as a
love it.
guest.
Yep.
But that's going to be a different type of saving. That's going to be like an extra bonus saving.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we've got tons of folks in the chat be like, and the learners are, I told you these learners are so sweet. They're just like, y'all didn't save it.
That's right.
And we did not.
And we did not. Y'all are the
So
best.
we can save it a bunch of different ways as well.
Yes, there
I
are.
like a Command S. I like that little shortcut.
That's my shortcut too. So if you're on a Mac, you're going to press Command S, Command and the letter S at the same time. And the Command button, if you're trying to find it, is right next to the space bar. It's on the left of your space bar. And you're going to press Command S at the same time. And you'll see, actually, this came up on my other screen, but you'll see that this alert box can come up. It doesn't always, but it can come up. And so let's do ha-has. Let me do that one more time because I have to be clicked onto the Visual Studio Code thing for this to actually save. So let me press Command S one more time. Look, the black dot is gone.
And I'm seeing a couple different people who look like they're having their messages do weird stuff in the chat. I'm
Same.
so sorry, my loves. Do you know what? We'll get this ironed out before next time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. You're not in trouble. We're not deleting your messages. I think that computers are just terrible.
They were a mistake. Always remember that, everyone. I love it. Okay. Okay, so we see that we have now saved this. So for folk who know, what is going to change on our when we actually come and view this in our Finder? So what's going to change? Is it still going to be a blank screen?
I mean, it's saved, and
Mhm.
you said that was the you said that's very accusatory.
It's true.
Multiple people said that was the problem last time,
Yes.
but just looking into the future, what do we think this website might look like? So what we
Mm.
have the doc type where we're telling the browser what kind of file it is.
Yep.
Um, and then we've got these HTML elements.
Yep.
Okay. And the body element. I don't think the body looks like much by itself. I think is that structural?
You don't think the body looks like much?
So I think just adding a body element.
Oh, yes. It will
Yeah.
not show anything.
And with the main boot camp, I always like to tell learners that there's a couple different things you can do when you're not sure what's going on. You can ask somebody who knows.
Mhm.
These are not in any specific order because I actually like the last one best, and I usually slip through. You can look it up,
Yes, always.
or you can get weird and experiment. So we could delete that hello world.
Mhm.
So let's look at what this looks like first.
Yes.
But afterwards, I want to see what happens when we delete that H1.
Beautiful. So I'm going to double click and see it.
Oh,
Ooh, 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 ooh. Just
and
wrote some code.
this is something I want to be really careful with because on Wednesday, we're going to learn about Netlify and deployment,
Mm-hmm.
how to put your website on the internet. If so, I see in the URL bar where we usually see the web address, it's files//users.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody else typed this into their browser,
Ah,
they're not going to get anything
correct.
because this is a file that lives
Mhm.
locally on your computer.
Only my computer has access to this file. That's right.
But on Wednesday, we'll learn about how to push a website, and maybe we'll just push this website. We'll push this file we've been marking.
That sounds great.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you want to just keep using? Yeah, we'll keep using the same one.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love it.
So I think the only things we wanted to do
Mhm.
were,
Gonna
do we want to
exit.
see what this looks like without the hello world?
Yes. Let's delete this hello world. I'm going to highlight it and then delete. And then I'm going to save it so that it knows that there's been a change. All right. Then I'm going to come back and double click on that. And it's empty again.
So it's not actually empty this time, though, is it?
Mhm. That's correct. It's not actually empty.
It's just that there's nothing displaying on the front end. The stuff we
Correct.
have is this structural stuff. Hey, here's our HTML element. Here's our
Right.
body element.
Right.
Oh,
It's purely structural. It's not actually going to be shown to the user or to anyone who's looking at this, website. It's not going to be shown. The stuff that's
So-
shown is your H1 and your H2s, and you're going to get into that tomorrow.
yeah. So just to preview something, this might be a really good time. If anybody has any questions, we can go ahead and answer any of your questions about this. Or,
That's
you know, I'm right here. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the structure of the boot camp if you couldn't join us
Yeah.
8-9 hours ago. And while the delay of the internet is waiting to catch up with us, excuse me, sir. This might be a nice time to preview. Can we put that H1 back? It doesn't have to say hello world. It can say whatever. If we put that back and save it and then refresh our file, is there a way we can see? That's very cool. Is there a way we can see what the code looks like in our
Oh.
file? So I think our browser has a way to show us the code we've written as well.
Yep. It does. Perfect. So we see that there. And then
And then if we don't have any questions, we might escape. So here.
let's see. And I forgot.
Oh, which browser is this?
This is Safari. Let me move it over to Chrome.
I was gonna cheat. So we're looking for a show source Safari. Oh, the develop menu from the top bar does it in Safari. Oh, but here we
Oh,
are.
that's okay.
Here we are in Chrome. What did you press to get this in Chrome?
Oh, excellent point. Let me go back, everyone. Okay, so let me exit this out so that you can actually see what's going on. So what I pressed is that I did a right click, and then in order to see what they call source code, or
Which is the HTML we just wrote.
that's right, that we just wrote, you're going to go down all the way to the bottom. It might not be at the bottom for your computer, but you're looking for this inspect tab right here. And that's what you want to click. Boom. And it's going to open up all this stuff on the right, or maybe on the bottom for you. But it's going to be all of this stuff that is the HTML that we just wrote.
Oh, nice. And it's like highlighting the element. That's very cool.
Yep.
So we're going to do some proper HTML from tomorrow. So this is just a preview. But then tomorrow you and I are going to look at getting a GitHub account set up for the first time. So if folks are brand new for development, if you're not brand new, this is probably pretty boring.
Yep. And that's okay. You're helping us by being in the chat and helping our users.
Amazing. So if we don't have any so if folks do have questions and they're not in, so they can come to the bootcamp Discord, and that's just fine. But there's a Couchbase one as well. If folks have questions about databases or Couchbase specifically.
Yes.
Where's that?
Yeah. So let me bring it right up.
Oh,
this is where we would go. So if you want to learn any more about Couchbase, or myself as the developer evangelist for the team, Jess as well, right, as the developer educator, then you can go join our Discord here, and I'll drop the information in the various chats. Jess is on it. Jess.
Oh no, I can't do it. I just tried to click, and the computer was like, "No, that's not on your screen."
Yeah, it's definitely not. Okay, so I'm adding it here in the chat. And it did in so many different places. That's perfect. So please feel free to join our Discord. Come on in our Discord if you want to learn anything about Couchbase, right? So more about how we use databases to help you as a developer build your projects or your products. You can do so in there. But we also have a different page, which is our Couchbase community page. And I'll also drop that just in case it's helpful for folk. It's where you can come and learn more about Couchbase in different spaces, and come ask your questions. And then lastly, if you wanted to learn more about me and the work that I do at Couchbase, or you want to make sure that you come to these streams, because I love to teach with Jess some really incredible things for early career and intermediate career developers. You can follow me on social media, so both Twitter and Twitch, at the same handle there.
And I'll go ahead and add it so whenever I'm offline, it shows your Twitch, just for like we are on very different schedules. It'll be fair.
Of course.
I am going to very affectionately hang up on you.
That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you, Jess. This has been so much fun. I hope y'all have enjoyed. Thank y'all so much for coming. And I can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. Please join us where we're going to be learning about GitHub.
Yeah, so we're just going to do the very basic steps. We're going to sign up for a new account, and then we're going to connect it to our VS Code so that when we save stuff, we can save it to Git as well. And Git, just a preview. What's a Git? What's version control?
We're going to get into it.
Cool.
But Git and GitHub are different. So that's the first thing to know. But what version control is, just a little overview, is, for example, if we saw that we had written a little bit of code here and we saved it, right? So we saved it a couple of times. What you can do is, what GitHub does, it's really a record of all the, it's not specifically the saves that you did, but it's really a record of your code and how it changes through time. So y'all saw that every time we went to Finder and we wanted to actually show it in the browser itself, what you can do is, once you're done writing like a chunk of code, even this, for example, we can say, you know what, I want to send this up to GitHub. And so there's a couple of commands that we can do to send it up to GitHub so that GitHub has a saved version of your code at its place right now. And then when you update it, you can send that version up to GitHub and it saves that version too. And it also takes note of the changes in your code. So this is a great way to be able to have a track of your progress and also be able to share your code with other people as well. We'll get into it more.
Amazing. I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Talk to you soon. Later.
Bye.
Bye.